it's not like it was a recession that you started to like see things happening, and it's not like your business wasn't working.
Yep.
And so you kind of started like, oh my gosh, this isn't going well. Maybe we should do something about it. It was like you woke up one morning and everything stopped.
Hey everybody, for this week's video, we got to sit down with our good friend Ryan Sisson. Ryan started Moniker Group in San Diego almost a decade ago. And what we love about his story is he really bootstrapped this thing from the beginning. But in the last few weeks, his business has really taken a hit with the outfall of the coronavirus. So we just wanted to sit down and talk about where he's at right now and how he's moving forward through these difficult times. So let's dive into this interview right now.
So we have multiple event venues, like wedding, corporate events. We have co-working spaces. We have coffee shop, cocktail bar, retail store. And pretty much all of those have been more or less shut down. The only business that we have that can still operate in its full capacity for the short term is going to be our design and fabrication company, where we design interiors for residential, commercial, hospitality, office. So we're fulfilling some contracts there, but the problem that we have now is the contracts that were in queue are starting to be put on hold or to just be canceled. I think we had around 65 employees. Technically, we still have 65 employees. We furloughed between 40 and 50 of them. Most of which down to 0 hours, a handful down to part-time hours. We did that really quickly, about I think 2.5 weeks ago, when all the restrictions started kind of coming in.
What was that like for you? Did you do most of those yourself? Did you have most of those conversations?
I had a lot of conversations. I don't know, probably like 8, 9, 10, mainly with like our managers or some of our core team, and then our managers that oversee like a lot of our part-time staff would go and have those conversations about reduction of hours or shutting down certain parts of our businesses. So it was just continually fluid. It still really is very fluid. But that was, Tuesday was like nothing I never thought I'd have to deal with in business. And I think one of the most challenging parts is making so many decisions so quickly with so little information that I just got home and I was like, I have no idea if I made the right decision or not.
Right. How have you been able, you mentioned it a little bit, but how have you been able to pivot? Have you been able to pivot at all to keep any inflow of cash coming?
Yeah, a little bit. And at this point, it's really about like job retention as much as possible. So, our co-working space is technically open, not to any guests, only members. We don't have any staff on site. If you need a place that you have to work, remotely from you can use that. But we're already, challenged with a lot of, members that need to transition out or trying to get out of membership agreements and all that stuff. The fun one, I guess, to a degree, has been our coffee shop. So we've been able to stay open there as a to-go only, most restaurants, offering coffee and into groceries. So we already had the suppliers, we have a ton of space, and we just basically put out a bunch of tables and ordered a bunch of product and have kind of essentials. So fruits, vegetables, pasta, bread, coffee. And so we turned it into like a little grocery store. We added all our product online onto our retail store online platform. And you can order online and then do curbside pickup. You don't have to come in our store. We'll just box it for you and you can just call us when you're there. And then we sign up for like Postmates or one of the delivery services, and just trying to find, more or less like every few $100 worth of sales, it provides a job for a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, we're the groceries probably 2 to 3 times more than what we were bringing in without the groceries, but it's still 20 to 30% of what we were bringing in before the virus.
So what is the Lord saying to you in these moments? I mean, is he showing up? Is he distant? What are you hearing him say? And how is your faith informing kind of this difficult time?
Man, my faith right now. The faith piece has been both frustrating and reassuring. I think it's hard to understand the role that God has in all this, but it doesn't change who God is in all of it. And I think I have to fight to make him bigger in my mind than the circumstances are, because it feels so outside of any control, right? It feels very helpless and hopeless to agree that something is going to change in this or be better or whatever. But at the same time, God does his best work when things are not as they were, like and there's his promises, and, God works all things for good for those called according to his purpose. And I think the fear comes in for me when it's just knowing that God didn't promise to spare me from any of it.
Yep.
So he's not promising that I'm going to get that moniker even exists after this, right? Like there's no in written, I haven't gotten, an email from him or a word or anything. I've had some amazing encouragement. I've had a lot of people praying for the company. Do I feel and believe that this is what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life? Yes, I do. But have I been wrong about what God's plans for my life? Yes, I have been at certain stages, once or multiple times. So I think it's more of that challenge of being willing to let it go the way that it needs to. I don't want to have to go through this, so I don't want to have to admit the way that God generally works in people's lives, because it's almost like you have to embrace the suck. But seriously, like, name a book of the Bible that doesn't speak to God's character and abilities in situations like this.
Yep.
Like, they're just everywhere. It's just a litany of stories that are associated to those that he's called to his purpose, going through challenges and pain and suffering, only to be elevated and lifted up by him in it.
Yeah.
And so I just have to believe that even on my days where I don't feel like I don't want to pray, or I don't want to read because I'm just tired or discouraged or just frustrated or scared, that he's still willing to meet me where I need to be.
I got one more specific question for you.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to other guys? I mean, I know a dozen other guys right off the top of my head here in the Annapolis area that are feeling what you're feeling today. I mean, what would you say to encourage them?
My father-in-law was a really successful business guy. He's got a bunch of kind of guys of his generation that are probably 20 to 30 years older than me. And he put together this weekly basic video call with, there's like probably 8 or 9 of us, and they all different businesses. One's in private lending, one's in finance, one's in real estate, one is in landscaping, like all these, one's in the bow business. And it's like, they've all been through hard times. We as Moniker, we actually turned 10 in a couple of weeks, which is just phenomenal timing.
Congrats, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we'll see. We birthed out of the recession. We didn't find our way through it. And they'll all say that this is like nothing they've ever experienced, but they've all been through the recession, through the savings and loan crisis. They've been through like ups and downs. And I'm just looking at them going, okay, like, I admire who they are as business guys. And a lot of who they are as business guys now are because of what they've been through.
Yeah.
And so I think the reality of what, especially, and because I can't take the faith piece out of it, but if God has put a calling on our lives, then this is a tool that he's using to get us there, not a wall that he put up to keep us from it.
So on a lighter note, talk to me about Philip Rivers.
Prepare your heart. Prepare your heart, my friend.